Hey y'all, welcome back to another doll ranking video. Today I'm going to be taking a look at and ranking all of the old Gen 1 Monster High Create-A-Monster dolls. This is like kind of a momentous occasion because this is the last bit of like strictly doll related paraphernalia from Gen 1 of Monster High that I have to rank. Like I could go back and rank like the old minis or like the old plushies that they did, but as far as like dolls specifically, this is it. I've ranked dolls of every character. I've ranked the playsets. I've ranked some of the vehicles, but like I think I included some of the vehicles in the playsets. I don't even remember at this point. But Create-A-Monster is like the last big category for me to rank. And so that is what we are doing today. Of course, as per usual, these are just going to be my opinions and you are absolutely free to disagree with me. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. The other thing with this is that two things actually. I am not including any of like the add-on packs where it might just be like there was one because we're going to get into it in a little bit, but a lot of the Create-A-Monsters packs didn't come with a torso. So there was like a torso add-on pack that was just different colored torsos. I'm not going to rank that because like there's nothing really to rank there. Like it's a necessary part to create a full doll, but it's not interesting in any like design standpoint. And a lot of the other add-on packs were like just a couple of dresses or like just some stickers for a face. So I just didn't really think that counted. I'm only including like full Create-A-Monster packs that like you essentially can make an entire doll out of. And the other thing with this, which I didn't really think about until I sat down and prepared for this video, is that maybe I'm the wrong person to be doing this, okay? I already gave my opinion disclaimer, but like double disclaimer here. I am really particular. And so for me, with like a Create-A-Monster pack, like there's one that I think has a werewolf and like a dragon or something like that in it. And for me, any of the clothing pieces or any of the like shoes or anything like that that is clearly designed for the werewolf has to go with the werewolf. Does that make sense? Like I'm not very good at the whole mix and match thing and like the whole like create your own kind of monster, that sort of thing. I'm very much like, here's the werewolf pieces, let me put them together. Now I have the werewolf doll as it was intended. So I might be the wrong person to be doing a ranking for a Create-A-Monster video, but I'm still going to make it anyway. So just like take everything that I say with a grain of salt and kind of with that knowledge in mind. But that's finally everything that I need to get through for the intro here. If you find yourself enjoying, if you could give the video a like, that's cool for me. If you could subscribe if you enjoy your time here so that way you can see more videos in the future. And then if you want to go out of your way to support me, I've got all of my stuff in the description. But I think that's finally it. So let's start ranking. As per usual, I am using Procreate to do my rankings, and for today, the tiers that we are working with from top to bottom are ideal, solid, almost there, not super, and trash. So we are going to be starting off with the insect Create-A-Monster, and right off the bat, we have to discuss the torso situation that I like alluded to earlier. A lot of Create-A-Monster packs don't have all of the body parts necessary to actually make a full doll. Like this one is particularly missing the torso. I think the torso is like the most commonly missing piece. Like there's hands, there's legs, there's not thighs, and there's not a torso. Like you've got a head, hands, and legs, but like you don't actually have technically the whole entire base doll. I don't know 100% why. I don't know if they were figuring like you would use one of the Monster High dolls you already own, or whether it was just a tactic to get you to have to buy the add-on packs. I couldn't tell you why this is the case, but it is the case for a lot of the ones that we're going to be looking at today. I would argue, honestly, most of the packs that we're looking at today. And because of that, I'm not going to take that into account when I do my rankings, just because I feel like at that point, it's not really fair, you know? Like if it's a problem across the board, I'm not going to rank them all super poorly or like take that into consideration because it just doesn't make sense to me. So when I look at this, I'm just going to imagine this as a completed doll, and that's like how we're going to do it. So with that being said, I think that this is a fun theme for a monster doll, kind of like a little bee girl situation here. I do like the wings. I think that the glasses are quite funny with like, I don't know what you call that, but like the insect eyes. I think that's quite cool. Shoes are kind of boring. The hair is very bee thematic. The dress is kind of whatever to me. Some of these photos are not super high quality, so I am sorry for that. The face is pretty sick. Overall, like I'm at the first one and I'm already like, I don't know if I'm going to put any of these on my deal. Let's not think negatively though. I can't put her that high up because like there is something about, I think, her outfit specifically that is just not super interesting to me, even though I like the concept of this doll. But I am going to put her in solid because I feel like she does have a cohesive design and like it's an interesting concept, so she's pretty cool. Next up, we have the skeleton girl, who does have like these skeleton arms and hands and legs and everything like that. She does have a pretty neat little face. I think that the dress is a little bit too stereotypical. Like, I don't know, it's very much giving kids Halloween costume. And I also just feel like, I don't know, maybe this is just me thinking too literally, but if I were a skeleton girl, I wouldn't want to put my bones on my dress. Like, I feel like that's kind of the equivalent of wearing like one of those long t-shirt dresses that has like the print of a body and a bikini on it. And like, if that's your jam, that's chill. It's just not for me. Like, that's, I feel like the human equivalent of what this skeleton girl is wearing. Not a super big fan of the like wig. I don't know. I think genuinely the only cool parts about this are the fact that she has like the skeleton body mold. But at that point, I would rather just get like a Skeletor doll, you know? Like, I wouldn't want to buy this. I'm gonna say just because yeah, that's about how I feel, is Could have been really cool, but I don't think that it worked out. Next up, we have the three-eyed ghoul, which I do think is like a fun concept. I like the idea of like dolls with different numbers of eyes. Like, I think the concept of Iris Clops is really fun, even though I never got any of her dolls. Same here. I think that the character having 3 eyes painted on is pretty fun. Her outfit is absolutely garbage, though. And I remember even when I was younger and I saw pictures of this, as like a teenager, I thought that her outfit just looks like this dress is giving Powerpuff Girls. But like, and I guess the dress isn't offensive. I don't get the hat. But it's kind of just boring, and I don't think that they played into the idea of her having, like, the eyes enough. Like, that's a fun thing to do. Like, that's an interesting, monstrous thing for the doll line to be doing. And I get that, like, the Create a Monsters probably weren't receiving the most budget, and they weren't, like, the main focus. But I still think that she could have been cooler, so I'm going to put her in as well. Next up, we have a 2-pack. This is the Vampire and the Sea Monster. And as you can see, we do have a torso, and we've got a couple of thighs. Not enough to make both dolls, but we have enough to actually fully make one doll. I actually really love this color of blue that the Sea Monster has for the skin tone. I just find it quite appealing. I think the face is pretty cool too. The vampire is like very much giving kind of Elizabeth Dracula. Like, they have the same skin tone. The hair is very reminiscent of Elizabeth to me, even though the face looks different from what I can see in this admittedly not super photo. That's just kind of what I'm getting at. Unfortunately, I do think that the vampire's outfit, which I'm including the shoes in there because I think that that counts, is pretty cool. Like, I like the cut of the shirt and the skirt and everything like that. But the Sea Monster outfit, I don't know. I've talked on this channel before about how I feel as though a lot of the times Monster High doesn't know what to do with Laguna. And I'm beginning to think that's just every sea monster, which is funny because I feel like there's so much inspiration to be had with the sea monster. But that's just not it. If you are someone who is not like me and wants to make like a true fusion, maybe you want to use like the sea monster body parts and then the wig and like the vampire outfit, that could be cool. But in my head, that's like trying to put 2 different puzzles together with like each other's pieces, and it actually really bothers me. Everything aside from the sea monster outfit is actually pretty okay. I'm going to say almost there just because I think that that's the only thing that really needed to change. And I know I'm very particular. I know this is probably just me, but like, I can't change that. Here's the one that I was referencing earlier, the werewolf and the dragon. I do think this is fun. I like the fact that the werewolf has like these little ears that you stick into her head somehow, just because like, you know, like Claudine and the other wolf characters from Monster High do have the non-humanoid, like the wolf ears. But with the fact that you have to put a wig on, that could have been hard to do. So I really like that. I think that was really good problem solving on their part. And I do like the dragon. I like the molded on scales. I like the little wings. I'm a sucker for wings though. Like it's pretty easy to please me in that regard. I think that, again, not the best photo, but the faces seem fine. The dragon's outfit is pretty boring. Honestly, so is the werewolf's. The shoes are very clearly for the werewolf. But like overall, while the outfit pieces are kind of boring to me, I don't think that they're actively bad like I did with the sea monster one. So I'm going to put this in solid. I think this is a pretty well-designed pack. Next up is a ghost pack that I frankly don't understand. I do like that we have these sort of Spectra-esque limbs with the transparent legs. Like, that is super, super fun. The face is whatever to me. but I have never seen a picture of this pack and thought, this is a ghost. This to me is giving cave woman. And I don't know why. I don't know, like something about the cut of the dress and the cut of the hair is combining in my head to be like, this belongs like from the Flintstones or something like that. I don't know. I want to like it because like there's a skull print in the dress. We've got some pretty cool shoes for a Create a Monster, but I can't see ghosts. Like I physically cannot see ghosts with this. So for me personally, it's going to go into not super. Why did I put our ideal as the layer name? I literally have no idea how that happened, but whatever. This is the Harpy pack, and this is one of my favorite packs. I think this is actually so fun just because this arm mold with the wings is so interesting, and it's very Monster High. Like, it is clearly very monstrous. I really, really like it. Maybe I put ideal because I thought you're going to rank this ideal. I bet that was it. The shoes could use some painted detail, but like this is a Create a Monster line. The legs also have a really cool mold. The dress is a bit boring, but it's not ugly. Like everything about this is actually pretty cool. And I remember when I was younger that I wanted to get this, except I was so frustrated by the lack of a torso and like I wasn't willing to tear apart one of my other dolls that I never ended up getting her because like I didn't think I could find like the torso and like the thighs that would match the exact color. I don't know. It was like a whole thing that I was very bothered by when I was younger. But I actually think this is really, really cool. And, you know, past me accidentally naming the layer ideal was correct. I do think I'm going to put this in ideal because I just think that is such a fun concept. I honestly really wish that we had gotten like a proper doll with that wing hand sculpt. I think that is so fun and just very different. And even now, I would love to see something like that in G3. Next up is the Puma Boy, one of very few boy Create a Monster dolls. I was weirdly obsessed with this one when I was a kid, which is so funny because like now I'm not. I think it was just because he's a cat, you know, a puma, big cat. I think that was it. I think that's all that it took to get me on board when I was younger. And also maybe I just wanted some more boy dolls. I don't know, but like, you know, he's fine. He's just also kind of whatever. Like nothing feels super special. And I do wish that he had gotten some like top of the head ears instead of just having kind of regular monster ears. I think that that would have made him stand out a little bit more. This one's going an A. Next up we have another old favorite of mine, and that is the Siren. I just love mermaids. I talk about that very, very, very frequently on this channel. I love mermaids, and I have loved mermaids for a very long time. So of course when I was younger, I was really into this. I don't know if you can tell from the amount of times that I'm referencing when I was younger, but I was like really a big fan of the Create a Monsters, at least in theory, when I was first collecting as a teenager. And I like religiously went through and looked at all of the different images and tried to figure out which ones I wanted. It was a whole thing. I still think this is really, really fun. I think that the pattern on the shirt is kind of fun. Not like what we usually see from like sea monster stuff with Monster High. The wig has an extra curl to it that you don't always see. Like you've probably noticed by now, a lot of these wigs are very similar to one another. So I think it's fun that it's like slightly more styled than normal. I like the mermaid tail. We've got like the webbing and the fingers and everything. Like this is a solid doll. Like the only thing I can say about her is that as with many of these, she could use a few more painted details, but I'm not going to hold that against her. And in fact, I'm going to be nice and put her in ideal also. Me at the beginning of the video being like, I don't know if I'm going to put anything in ideal. And now we have two. This one is what I think is the oldest like play set that we got. Correct me if I'm wrong. Absolutely feel free. Because there were a few Create a Monster like play sets. And I think this one was the first one. And this one came with like the introduction of the blank faces. And then you can see over here like sticker packs of different faces that you could put onto the monster. I think that they actually functioned less like stickers and more like temporary tattoos. And I think that was what this machine did, is like you would put some water in it and it would like stamp on. Again, I totally could be wrong. I never had this, but I do think it's a fun idea. I don't like the purple and the green and like then the gray and red. Like the whole color scheme of what's happening here doesn't really work for me. I mean, if you're someone who's being a bit more creative or chaotic with your Create a Monster experience, I could totally understand why this would be fun. Just for me and my brain, doesn't really work. Points for the idea though, so I'm going to say almost there because it's really just like the color scheme. Next up, we have a 2-pack of a cat and a witch, and will you look at this? There's actually enough pieces for both dolls, which is so fun. very uncommon with the Create-A Monsters, and I super, super appreciate that. I love, again, we've got like the cat ears that can go on top. There is only one wig, okay? So that is a little bit like disheartening, because if you want both of your characters to have hair, then like you kind of can't. Of course, if you want one of your characters to be bald, you're in luck and this is great for you. But like it kind of depends on what you're going for there. Everything is pretty boring in terms of like the design. That's kind of normal for the Create-A Monster dolls. And I do kind of get it, because if you're trying to just like foster some creativity, or you want something to be more mix and matchable, it makes sense that there's not going to be as intentional a design to it. Overall, I think that this is utterly inoffensive, and it is like kind of okay. I don't know. I'm going to say almost there, just because the fashions are kind of boring, but it's pretty solid. Then we have a 2-pack for boys, and we have a vampire and a gargoyle. I think that the gargoyle is really fun. I just really love that speckling of skin that Monster High did for the gargoyle characters. I think that that's super, super sick. The vampire boy has a tattoo, which we love to see. Other than that, kind of the same comments as the last one, so I think we're also going to put this in almost there. Like, if there were just a little bit more exciting fashions other than just, like, t-shirt shorts, I would be ranking it higher. Ooh, next up we have what used to be my absolute favorite. This is the Blob and the Ice Girl, and we actually do have, like, full outfits minus the shoes for both. Like, we've got full bodies, 2 heads, 2 wigs, 2 dresses. It's just the shoes. I did used to have these. I know for sure I sold the Blob Girl. I can't remember about the Ice Girl. I just used to think that these were so cool. Like, as I became an adult, I kind of felt like they just didn't have a place in my collection still. Like, I wasn't feeling the same joy for them as I did when I was younger. But I loved these when I was younger. I love the bodies. They're very interesting. The Blob Girl, like the pink, has a transparent body, and so does the Ice Girl, but hers is like kind of more angular and jagged, like she's literally made of ice, which I think is so fun. The fashions are simple, but they work with what they're going with. I love the Blob wig. I think that is so just funky and interesting. These are really, really cool, very innovative, very interesting, and I'm going to put them in Ideal, even though I did sell mine. Like, just because I don't currently want to own them doesn't mean that I don't think that that's really awesome. Then we have the Mummy and the Gorgon, which is another set that I loved when I was younger, bought when I was younger, and I still love to this day. I really want to turn the Gorgon doll eventually into like a custom dragon. I think that would be super, super fun to do. I love the Mummy, the body. It's like fully molded with bandages, like head to toe. Well, not literally, like neck to toe, molded with bandages with like this dusting of gold on it. It's just so, so cool. I think these are some of like the better ones in terms of like the print on the fashions. Because again, much like the Ice Girl and the Blob Girl, kind of boring. Like, they're not like crazy, but they get a point across. They look nice. I love this. I still think this is really, really, really solid, and it's going into Ideal. Then we have the second Create-A Monster playset. Bad image. I'm sorry. But you guys can kind of get the gist. And I did actually have this one. I don't know what happened to her, because she never even made it like to my adult apartment. She somehow got lost in like the move from my parents' house. You know, it happens sometimes. That's fine. But I remember really, really wanting to like her, and I just like couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with her. But that's like a me issue. I think the concept behind this is really fun. She was like a color change type doll, where her dress and then her body would change colors based on whether you put like heat on it or like an ice cube or very cold water on it. And that was just so fun to me. I loved the concept of that. I loved playing around with it. I remember I would like draw designs in and like stick her in the freezer so she'd stay cold and like stay a certain color. It was a good time. And even as a teenager who like collected dolls but still held some shame for that, this was the doll that I like probably played with, like truly played with the most. And I feel like she holds a special spot for me because of that, because it like really helped me release some of my inhibitions about not only collecting dolls, but also being able to enjoy them in a quote unquote childish way and still just find joy in that. Sorry, that's like really a tangent, but I don't know. It kind of goes with this doll. All of that to say, she's going in solid, just because I do wish there was like a little bit more fashion pieces. Like, I wish she'd come with some more color change pieces so you had more opportunities. But I think the concept's really fun, and she kind of has some personal meaning to me. So she's going up there. I really thought this was going to be like a super short ranking video, and I'm talking so much. Next up, we have another sea monster one. I don't know what like the gimmick was with this. I'm seeing like the ice on this and then like the fire on that. So I'm assuming she was another one that had some sort of temperature situation. I hate this hair. I hate the fact that it's plastic and it's like a molded piece because it's not even molded onto the doll. And I know that that's like so you can change it, but they've given us actual hair wigs in the past, or at least the ones that weren't. Like the Gorgon was molded snakes. That makes sense. The Blob Girl was like a molded like blobby thing. That makes sense. This is normal hair, but it's all plastic and I high key hate it. I don't mind the base doll and I don't think that the dress is terrible, but like I cannot excuse that hair. So it's going into not super. Next up, we have a werewolf in the same sort of situation, except I think that her fashions are worse. Also, interestingly, even in the stock photo, her pieces aren't all the same color. Like, obviously, with age, different parts of a doll's body might be made of slightly different materials. And so, like, the head might not quite match the neck after 20 years. And that's normal. Like, that's a different aging process. But even in the stock photo, her ear is like this color. Her skin is slightly different. And her skin on her arm is like, that was too dark. That was too dark. But it's even more, I know it's probably, I'm hoping to God you can see this on the screen because it is subtle, but it's noticeable. Like, and I just think it's very fascinating that even in the stock photo, they don't have body parts that all match. We have that horrible molded hair again. I don't know why I'm ranting about this for so long. I'm going to put it in trash. That's it. I'm going to shush myself up. I'm going to put her in trash. Oh, okay. So this one is like the second to last era, I guess you would say, of Create a Monster. They went through like a bunch of different fads. And I do think it's like quite a fascinating thing how they did different gimmicks and like changed things up. So this was the Inner Monster. This is the deluxe pack. So the Inner Monster thing was that they have different faceplates that you could put on, and they had like an exposed brain that you could push down and it would change the eyes. And then the inside of their body, this is a really bad picture, I'm so sorry, but it was like transparent and you could plug in little emotions, almost like croc charms. And obviously like most of that would be covered by the clothing, but I think it was a really, really fun concept, like definitely a very creative concept. That being said, I'm not obsessed with this pack. I do think that a lot of the bigger pieces are really cool. The kind of genie hair and like the little genie tail or genie body. Is it a tail? Does that count? I don't know. And the wings I think is really, really fun. The face plates I actually think are fine. Can't see what all the different eyes were, but like, you know, I just really hate the clothing. That's essentially what I'm getting, because I think the clothing is not it. But also this one came with like a little diary, and because I had a different one of the Inner Monster ones that we're going to be getting up to. I don't know why it says Dracula or Rebecca on the front, because mine was blank. But I thought that was so fun that it came with a blank diary that you could like write about a character. So you could create your own monster and then write about them. That was so cool. So there are so many good things about this. I'm just going to have to try to ignore as best as possible the bad clothing. Like we're just going to pretend that that's not existent, because I do think there's so many good things about this particular type of Create a Monster and about this pack specifically. I'm going to say I had to go almost there. I can't go any higher than that. I'm sorry. I really hate the clothing because it's like not just inoffensive, it's actually bad to me, but a lot of good stuff. This one was also a Create a Monster Inner Monster pack, and they were all named after like emotions. So this one was love and feisty. I don't really know. It's weird. But this is the one that I had. I did end up selling this doll as well, just because, again, it wasn't something that, like, I personally was finding joy anymore as an adult in having. But, again, I still appreciate it. She had, like, 2 sets of kind of wings, except one was, like, spider arms, which is super, super cool. I loved the, like, faceplates. The wig was really cool. She had these, like, sunglasses that were hearts. This was a really, really fun one. The dress I'm not 100% sold on, but like, this was a cool doll. This was a really, really fun one. And again, came with like the blank diary and everything. We're going to put her up into solid. Next up is the Shy and Silly pack. I don't know how to feel about this one. I actually think these eyes that are shown in the stock photo is really cool, because a lot of Monster High eyes have pupils, but these don't. And it's like very different stylistically. And I think that that's super fun. We've got octopus arms and then like some sort of leafy situation. I'm not 100% sure what they were going for with that. I never owned this one, but I do think it's pretty cool. I don't think that I like the outfit as much, but I do like this faceplate with like the flower. I don't know. I have like kind of a soft spot for the inner monster ones. I'm going to put her into solid 2. And then the last of the inner monster ones, because again, I didn't do like any of the add-on packs. There were a few add-ons that were just like clothing, but I didn't really feel like that counted, or like if it was just like a faceplate or something. So yeah, didn't include that. So this is the last one of the inner monsters, and this is the sweet and fierce one. We have some kind of sort of bat wing situation, and then like a little peacock tail. I do think the peacock tail is interesting. I think the bat wings could have been much better executed. I don't like the outfit, like, actively. I think this one's probably the worst of the Create-A Monsters to me. It's not to my personal taste. That's really it. I'm gonna put it in because yeah, that one I like a lot less than I like the others. And then the last one to talk about today, overall, is the Create-A Monster machine. This is so sick. So this came with like a lot, as you can see here. A couple of molded wigs, which I don't like, but like, I'll allow it in this case. We have 1 rooted wig, 3 whole doll bodies, a bunch of different outfits and stuff, and this funky little machine. And I'm almost certain that the way that this worked is there was actually an app that went with it, and you would like upload an image on the app, and then you would input these markers into the machine, and it would draw like the face onto your doll, which is just so cool. I never had this. I couldn't tell you how well it actually worked because, like, frankly, I do have my doubts about how accurate it would be, just because, like, not that there wasn't good technology back then, but I'm just saying I think we've come a lot far in terms of this sort of technology. I would be so curious to see how well something like this would work in today's time. But even if it didn't work perfectly, this is such a cool idea. Like, this is such a fun concept, such an elaborate concept, and I'm just genuinely gobsmacked by it. Like, this is so fun. It's obviously going up into Ideal. That is like the ultimate Create-A Monster experience because you literally can create it from scratch. It's so fun. So yes, guys, that is going to be my ranking. I kind of scared myself at the beginning because I was thinking about like my little peculiarities. That's not how you say that word. You know what I'm trying to say, though. Like, the little things in my mind about how things have to look a certain way, and, like, there's a proper way to put these things together. And I was a little nervous that I was going to end up ranking the Create-A Monsters poorly because of that. But honestly, I have a lot of fond memories of this line from Monster High. I think they did a lot of really interesting things. Like, some stuff was rough, obviously, but some stuff was really fun. And I think that they were really pushing, like, the creative boundaries of a doll like this. And I love that for them. I think this is super chill. So an unexpectedly positive ranking for me. We only have 1 in trash, and like that almost never happens where I only have 1 doll in bottom tier. So kudos to the Create-A Monster line. But yes, guys, that is going to be it for today. Definitely let me know in the comments if you guys like had the Create-A Monster dolls when you were growing up, which was your favorite and like your least favorite. Do you remember them as fondly as I do? I feel like this is just a piece of old Monster High stuff that isn't talked about quite as much. Like, people talk about the old Gen 1 dolls, and normally they're referencing, like, old Draculaura, or old Claudine, or, like, old Laguna, that sort of thing. But I feel like there's fewer people who kind of remember or talk about actively the Create-A Monsters, or maybe I'm just, like, missing out on something. But this was, like, a fun little trip down memory lane talking about these dolls and like the emotions that they brought up in me and like the fun that I had with them. So I hope it was fun for you to watch. Like I said, let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Otherwise, I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.